What is up, guys? Andrew with No Excuses TV here, and today we're giving you my 5 tips to make your road trip with your kid just a little bit better. Thanks for clicking on this video, guys. If you haven't noticed, I didn't post last week. As it becomes more winter in these winter months, we're probably gonna post every other week just because we're traveling less, we're camping a little bit less. We do have a big trip planned in November though, to Colorado, which will be fun. But as we're starting to kind of move more into our planning period for planning for next year, our next year summer trips, we're going to be posting about once every 2 weeks. So look out for those videos because they're still going to be pretty awesome. So if you didn't know, me and my son, Xander, went on basically a week-long road trip out to the Badlands National Park in South Dakota. We went fossil hunting. We did all this great stuff. Basically, it was based on, I entered a Gear Junkie contest about what would you do with your next big adventure. We got into the top 10. We unfortunately didn't win, so we didn't win to get our big adventure, but I'm like, we're still going to go on it. We're still going to have this big adventure. We're going to have a lot of fun this summer. So I'm here to talk about the 5 things that made my trip with Xander, a 6-year-old, for 15 hours in the car, both ways, a lot more manageable. So the biggest thing that I did as we were going to the Badlands is I included him in my trip planning. Primarily, I included him in the activities planning that we were going to do. I wanted to make sure this trip was everything that he wanted it to be. I wanted to make sure that he had a lot of fun, he did everything he wanted to do, and I didn't overwhelm him. Because what can happen is you can overplan and go kind of overboard with all this stuff. So when we were planning our trip, we planned our destinations, we planned the activities we were going to do, and we kind of planned out our whole week together. And it made it a whole lot more enjoyable for him because he felt like he was part of the planning, he was part of the trip preparation, and that he was always knowing what was coming forward and what we were going to be doing the next day. The next thing that I did, and this may be, some parents probably aren't big on this, is to have car activities. So that's number 2, is have car activities. So it was just me and Xander. There was no other people in the car with us for what ended up being about a 16-hour drive each way. Now, I didn't break it up because it was more like I wanted to get there, and I thought he could do it because I knew my kid, which is a big thing. You make sure you know your kid because some of them, that may be you have to break it up into 6-hour drives. Xander, I knew could make it. We had been on a 9-hour trip earlier in the year to Florida, so I knew he could make the trip. And so I just had to make sure that my car activities kept him engaged to where he did not lose interest, where he was still excited about going, and he basically didn't complain a lot. So for us, that was, we had car games. He had books that he could read a little bit because we were on the straight stretches. He wouldn't get sick. But primarily, it focused around, we downloaded iPad movies. He played his Nintendo Switch. We had a lot of electronics, as well as, keeping up the scenery, doing little side shows, stopping places that he thought would be neat. We had activities planned, and regardless of what they are, you need to have those activities ready to go because keeping them happy in the car will make that trip and that destination just a lot more enjoyable for both of you. The third thing that I think made a big difference was I had planned stops on our road trip about every 2 hours. Now, I didn't need to get gas. I didn't have to stop to go to the bathroom every time, but I made sure that at least every 2 hours we were stopping and getting out of the car, moving around, doing something where he did not feel cooped up in that one spot for very long. Now, did we get some food and did we fill up on those locations? Yeah, because I want to make it all worth it. But those trips or those stops were planned to make sure that he did not get stir crazy. He did not get cooped up too long in that cabin. He kept moving around, which was a big deal. And it added time. Now, it does add time. We stopped every 2 hours for probably 15 minutes, right? And so if we're already doing a 12-hour drive, that's adding an extra 2 hours to our trip. So it is a big deal. It's adding time, but that time you add, it makes it a lot more enjoyable for everybody, and then you don't have to worry about fighting with, being sore, being tired, ready to get out of the car, just that complaining, which luckily he did great both ways. Number 4, big thing for us was don't overthink the food that you're packing, right? So when I usually go camping, I'm having this big kind of all this camp food, all this camp cooking. He wasn't big into that. Now, he would eat breakfast and he would have pancakes and stuff, but other than that, he would just want, some hot dogs or Lunchables or maybe just a turkey sandwich, just something simple that he knew that he was going to enjoy and didn't have to worry about not eating, because as active as we were, we wanted to make sure he had plenty of energy, that he was never hungry as we went out, he was full. And so making sure that we had food that he was going to eat made it a whole lot bigger. And actually in the road trip itself, we packed stuff together for the trip. So I had a separate cooler up beside me that had all of the stuff we were going to eat into it, little snacks, little things here and there in case he ever got hungry. I could always reach into that cooler, grab a snack, grab something to drink without having to stop necessarily, and just keep us moving, and kept him happy a lot of the time. And my last trip, my last big kind of suggestion, and it goes along with the planning, is to go somewhere interactive. So making sure that your destination is something that they want to go to is big in the first place, obviously. But making sure that that destination has things that they can do and look forward to every day is big. Now, when we were in the Badlands, in the afternoon, it would get close to like 105. We were there in kind of a warmer part of the year, and they were already having kind of a big heat rise. What do you call it? Not heat stroke.
Heat wave?
Heat wave. Thanks, Britt. A big heat stroke. No, it's a big heat wave. And so while we were there, I knew that my plan was going to be to get up early, go hiking, do all of our little trips out early, and then come back and be kind of more sedentary, kind of laze around, do smaller things in the afternoon, and when it cooled back off in the evening, go back out and do all of our other stuff, see sunsets. Making sure that you kind of plan that out and go somewhere that you can do multiple things in one setting is huge, because if those, for Xander especially, if I have the 6-year-old that's going to get bored of what he's doing, he's going to get aggravated, he's going to get fed up, he's going to want to leave. And I was blessed enough that the entire 5 days we were in the Badlands, where we went to Custer State Park, we went to Mount Rushmore, we went to Rapid City for a little bit. We did all of these things and moved around all the different parts of the Badlands, always stayed active, always kept moving, always had another destination across the horizon, made our trip so much more enjoyable enough to where when I do go to Colorado this winter, back in November, he says that he wants to go along with it. And it's the same time. It's going to be about another 12-hour trip. So we're excited about that one. I'm excited to go on future trips with him, and maybe start bringing Oakley along as she gets a little older. We're thinking about going, Galveston's a close trip. Florida, like all these Texas coast places are a close trip. Even here in Arkansas, there's a ton of close places we can go to enjoy ourselves in the outdoors, make good road trips, and just kind of build that culture of being outside and loving the outdoors as much as we want them to. So if you have, what are your tips and tricks? So what have you done to make your road trips a lot more enjoyable for everybody involved, especially the little ones? Make sure you comment those down below. If you are not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss any of the videos we're putting out. The next video I think is going to be about winterizing the Artaxa tiger moth. So stick around if you want to see how we winterize it, get it ready for the winter. Stick around, make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Hit that bell for notifications so you never miss another video, and we will see you in the next one.
Oh, I love you, Dad.
I talk too fast.